Welcome back to CryptosRus. I am George. Larry Fink, he is a big Bitcoin bull now. Okay, now whether or not he truly believes that, or he just truly believes that BlackRock needs to dominate a new asset class like Bitcoin, we don't know, right? But BlackRock has been going all in. They've been doing presentations for their investors, and Larry Fink's been doing a lot of interviews saying that he calls Bitcoin a safe haven and in many ways better than gold. He's going all out, guys. He's like the biggest endorser outside of Saylor. So yeah, they're accumulating. Long term, not so sure that their ETFs acquiring so much Bitcoin is a good thing, but right now, they're definitely them and MicroStrategy are leading the way. Speaking of MicroStrategy, Saylor finally bought some. Last week they skipped. This week he bought 27 million, which is a small amount compared to what we're normally used to from him. But that's because he wasn't able to sell a lot of stock last week, I think. Right now, all these as he's listed, Strike, Strife, Stride, and I don't know what this one is, but basically his strategy, unfortunately, is just sell off stock on all 5 of his companies every week, and whatever he sells, he uses the proceeds to buy more Bitcoin, right? So unfortunately, that's been like that for a while. So if the stock market does really well and he's able to sell more shares, then he's going to buy more Bitcoin. So it's kind of like his way of doing leverage, so to speak. Although he says he can never get liquidated, which is interesting. So even if Bitcoin falls like 50%, he's like, I don't know. I don't have to worry about selling. I don't know how that works, but he's figured it out. In an interview with Jordan Peterson, he said basically he figured all this out by chatting with OpenAI, with ChatGPT. He just sat down on weekends and ran ideas with ChatGPT, and this is the first of its kind in history. And that's due to AI and brainstorming with AI, which is kind of crazy. All right, who else bought? Bitcoin miner Mara buys 400 Bitcoin after a historic crash. That's the right way to do it. When things are at discount, okay, especially Bitcoin, you want to load up, okay, because it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, even with Bitcoin falling to 107, was it really that scary? The alts, yeah, you could say pretty scary when you see something fall 50, 60% within minutes. But Bitcoin falling 10%, that's business as usual. We have seen that many, many, many times before. So people that loaded up or bought the dip or DCA'd, right? Congrats, because that's what you're supposed to do. It was a gift. It was a gift. But for people that got liquidated, that certainly wasn't a gift. Okay, 20 billion liquidated, although the actual numbers I'm hearing are a lot higher than that, more like 50 billion. It was the worst liquidation day ever in Bitcoin history. Not Bitcoin history, in crypto history. But the good news is, usually after a historic deleveraging event or a big liquidation event, what happens afterwards? Usually after a big major wipeout, that's when the bull market starts. That's when a historic run to the upside happens. We have seen this a lot in the past. When you have a historic shakeout, the market makers, whales, the insiders, they clear everyone out. They buy the dip and then they ride it to the top. We have seen that story time and time and time again. We are in the second week of October now. This is exactly the same time as last year when Bitcoin started finally bucking the downtrend and we went on a historic run. We're like right at that time too. And I remember October last year also started out pretty bad. I guess we'll see. And then we have another rate cut coming up later this month, right? That is also a big thing. We got a lot of things going on, guys. A lot of things going up. And these pesky CME gaps, I didn't even know there was one that we needed to fill or close, but we did. There's always these stupid CME gaps, okay, that we need to clear. I honestly think that and I shared it in my video yesterday, I don't think the guys who caused the crash saw or how big it was going to be. Maybe they just want to bring it down to fill the CME gap, right? But because of our friends at Binance, we saw a historic crash, one that we have never seen before in terms of liquidations. I honestly don't think that was the intent. Maybe the intent was just to fill the CME gap. And then, you know what? We saw something much worse. But again, like I said, usually after a big historic clear out or shakeout, you have a historic run, right? And you actually have some signals. Coinbase premium is in the green. The kimchi signal, which is like looking at the the South Korean exchanges and their premiums, also in the green. Normally, when you see a lot of premiums in the green, that means retail is buying. So that could be something, especially South Korea. The traders in South Korea are nuts. Okay, they're nuts. The volume in South Korean exchanges are crazy. So that's why when you see this happen, usually that means something's going on, right? And like I said, when you see these corrections, you shouldn't be scared because we have seen corrections like these all the time. This is the last cycle leading up to 64,000. You see that we had 21%, 20, 32, 25, 20. Then we had a 50% correction. And after a 50% correction, we had another 30% correction. And then while we were coming up, we have a 25% correction. We didn't have nearly as many or corrections as big as these this cycle. I think we had a 15% one a couple times, 10% one. We just had a 10% one, whatever. We haven't seen some of these. It's been the tamest cycle so far. So we really shouldn't be panicking, especially when Bitcoin is above 100,000. But second of all, the point is corrections are normal. Okay? The big boys want you out so they can acquire more. So whatever you sell, just think about it. Who are you selling to? You're selling to someone that wants to buy it from you, right? And it's usually these large whales or now institutions, market makers, whoever. And look at what usually happens after a big correction. You have a big move to the upside. You don't have a continuous downside. You just have a move to the upside, especially during bull markets, right? Like right now.